Yes, salam alaikum. This is Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley of the Underground Railroad Podcast. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are looking at this. And I have my co-host with me. We're in the United States, in Chicago, Illinois, but we're going to talk about Palestine, and we're going to talk about Latino Spirit. It's a TV show, and we've been honored that my co-hosts get on in here, and we're going to talk about Israel after he makes his introduction.
Greetings, I am Johnny Johnson. I am the host of the Joyful Sound Truth and Conversation, which is a podcast on all the major podcast platforms and on YouTube. And I also have a channel on Twitch called Truth and Conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'm here to learn and enjoy the dialogue. I try to add some of my experience in education when I can. I have a degree in international studies and also in finance. So if we have to touch on those, I'll be happy to contribute.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be posing questions. There is a young lady that has went to Israel, and with no further ado, she is a world traveler. But you know what? But no further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the listening audience. And I want to thank you,
Dalia Tapia.
Yes, for he understands Espanol, which I don't. But I want to thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the Underground Railroad Podcast. And she does a show, make an introduction of at Can TV, and she's an author of a book. Okay. And she's a world traveler, but with no other further ado, let her make an introduction of herself. Because we're going to be discussing Israel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. My name is Dalia Tapia. I'm actually an educator. I'm originally from Chicago, but I have traveled all over the world. I took a job in the Middle East, and that's how I came across what is really happening in Palestine. I have written a children's book, In Search of Letty. I have done actually a feature film also by the same title, In Search of Letty, which Univision put it on DVD back in 2005. I've done other projects. However, more than anything, my motivation in life is children. That's right. Children is what drives me because they're the future. I mean, I was just recently talking to my father, and he's like, well, I'm preparing to go. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? Well, we're all going to go. However, it's what we're doing now here in life that matters for the next generation, generations to come. So I am, besides an educator, I'm a learner. And that is how I go in when I travel all over the world. I'm a learner. So I learn, and it's very diverse. I mean, I've been to so many countries, like from China to Argentina to Canada, to name it. I've been all over the world, and I'm not done traveling. I'm still traveling, but my travels is what led me to actually discovered what is happening in Palestine.
But first, you know what? First, Miss Dalia, I would like to ask you, what channel does your TV show come on, and where can they purchase your book to support your platform?
Yes, well, my book is on Amazon, so anybody can go in there on Amazon and purchase it. There is an interesting thing, though, that what has happened is with my movie and my book is that other people sell it, so that is very hard to track. And I have been trying to figure out what to do in a different way to actually have people directly, get the books or the movies from myself. But for the longest time, someone else and other couple companies have been selling it, and it's not me, my movie. As I said, Univision put it out on DVD. And then as far as my show, I'm just coming back to Chicago, picking up from where I was. I started doing my show, Latin Sprit, Espíritu de Latina, and Can TV. And this was in 2005. No, sorry, 2005. 4, 5, 6.
Mhm.
Then I actually left, taking that job in the Middle East and as a teacher, as an educator. So
Mhm.
currently, I have just done one show on my experience in
Mhm.
Palestine, and
Mhm.
another show sharing with the audience other options as far as candidates.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, our US mainstream media is being used
Mhm.
as a weapon against Americans. How so? Well, first of all, if they don't tell us anything else besides these two characters, then that's all we're, the
Mhm.
mess people will only accept. However, we have other options as far as candidates for presidency,
Mhm.
and that is where I find it very important for all of us Americans to finally, like, hey, go out there and investigate, and encourage everyone to go out and find
Mhm.
out, not just settle
Mhm.
for what is being fed
Mhm.
to us.
Mhm. But you know what? The main reason that, for the listening audience, that she is on it because she is world traveling and she actually saw what went on in Israel and Palestine. And let me make a disclaimer. We're not here to demonize anyone or to falsify anything. She's an eyewitness. That is the title of the show, to tell about what transpired. And why did you go to Israel? And then he's going to jump in with a question. And
Yes. Well, sure, sure. What happened is, actually I was teaching in the Middle East, and somebody suggested for me to travel to visit the places where Jesus was born, where Jesus was crucified, all the places, And I myself, I'm very curious. So if somebody tells me, "Hey, go to India and see Taj Mahal," I did,
Mhm.
and it's a mosque. So I am very much open to learning. And
Mhm.
so that evening before I left on my trip, somebody explained to me how to do everything for me to get to those locations.
Mhm.
Well, can I share then the rest of the
Yeah,
story of what
go
happened?
ahead, my sister. Yes.
Okay. So I myself planned out my trip according to the details of the person who told
Mhm.
me, okay, so you got to go to Jordan, you don't, please, once you get there, you need to take a bus, da, 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 da. Everything was fine.
Mhm.
So then I was in Israel, and right away, as soon as you get in there, they tell you, do not get on Palestinian buses. I found it
Yeah.
suspicious, but then I'm like, okay, I don't know. At that point, I had no idea what is really going on what was really going on. So then I was like, okay, fine. Then that day I went to Bethlehem. It was already midnight coming back, and they
Mhm.
told me, okay, again, don't get on the Palestinian buses, only the tourist buses.
Mhm.
So at midnight, I'm coming back.
Yes.
This is the point. Listen carefully. This is the point that where I was coming back, and then I was the last tourist on that bus, and the bus broke down. Things happen for a reason. That bus broke
Yes.
down. So somebody decided to put me in a Palestinian bus.
Mhm.
Well, that is where I discovered the Palestinian people have a lot of checkpoints. And what
Yes.
happens at the checkpoints? Well, basically you get you I didn't know the checkpoints or anything about it. I just fell asleep in the back of
Mhm.
the bus, and people didn't know I was not Palestinian. That I just got on because that's what they told me. So
Mhm.
then I like I said, I fell asleep. Then I was woken up by a soldier, an Israeli soldier, were basically a rifle towards me, and it's like yelling and screaming, and we all had to go down. They searched us. They very inhumanely treatment, like not nothing like where you are like, no, 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 there's different types of treatment of how you treat someone with respect, someone with dignity. No, it was horrific.
Yeah.
Then
Mhm.
then
Go ahead.
as I was then I was as I was going on, I was towards the end of the line, because when he woke me up, I had no idea what he was saying. Nobody knew, like I said, that I was an American. So I'm at outside, where they're searching, and then I give him my passport, my American
Yes.
passport.
Yes.
And what did this man do? He throws it on the floor. At that point, I was like, "Oh my
What?
God. Oh no, he didn't." Yeah. And so I picked it up and then I started swearing. Of course, at this point, I'm like, "No, this is unacceptable." And then all the Palestinian people turn around to look at me. That's when everybody discovered I was non-Palestinian. And everybody looked at me and they're like, this woman is going to get killed, right? I mean, because
Yes.
this is often what happens to them. And I didn't care. I was like, no, this is unacceptable,
Yes.
and then he
I,
was
I, I
finding,
want to stop you for 1 second, man. I'm looking at my co-host. He look like
yes,
he's got a question that he's dying to ask you. So go
sure,
ahead.
Not,
sure.
Go
I
ahead.
mean,
Go ahead.
I'm dying to hear this story because,
Yes. Go ahead, sister.
I
Go ahead.
mean, this is good information. I mean,
Yes. Go ahead.
especially coming, to our community. I mean, I, I'm sure we can empathize with
Hmm.
with them. Yeah.
So
Oh
go
yeah.
ahead.
So
Let me,
I'm
for people
listening.
that are just tuning in, she is a personal
Oh
eyewitness
yeah.
by
Mhm.
going to Israel and Palestine and to look at the treatment of people. And again, this is not to demonize anybody.
No.
This is an
Yeah.
Yeah.
actual
Mhm.
eyewitness. So go ahead,
See, because
sister.
I thought this was a 1960s thing, but
Oh no,
apparently
no, no, no,
no.
no. This is happening. This was happening, and I went in 2013.
Hmm.
December. I have my dates, and I will share a little bit more of what I discovered as all of this was like unfolding in front of me, like in my own personal experiences. Like, okay, so then when I got onto the bus, obviously, then the people realized, oh, the bus driver was telling me to come to get on the bus, because
Hmm.
I understand now that these Israelis have killed Americans. Now we don't see that in the news, but
Hmm.
they have killed Americans. And so the bus driver was telling me to get on, and her, to come back in, which I
Hmm.
did. Now, at that time, that night, I didn't end up back into my accommodation. I ended up
Hmm.
in another place where I came across an Israeli man who said to me, at that time, he was not aware that I was American. He
Yes.
basically was saying that again, now this is what I am hearing. And there's when people have called me a liar, I'm like, why would I have to make up things? I
Yes.
am, when I go to like travel in different countries, what I see and what I hear and what I touch and what I experience, that's mine. And nobody can, deny that. So this
Hmm.
gentleman was saying that, first of all, that only that that everybody is animals except them, that they're the only
Wow.
humans. I was like, wait a minute. And then the chosen people. This is the first time in my entire life that I heard that phrase, chosen people. Never, never in my entire life had I heard that phrase. And I thought to myself, what is he talking about? I mean, is he okay? Then he went further and said that Americans were their slaves. At that time, I did not understand what he meant. And later on, as I went and
Sad.
researched and found out what is really happening with our
Yes.
government, which about 19 of them are dual citizens. Congress
Yeah.
people, I'm talking currently, right now, they have dual citizenship. And a
Hmm.
lot of our tax money goes to support them instead of like, taking care of people here in America. Now,
Yes.
since then, they've been blocking me because often what they do with journalists is they before you leave, they literally take your information. And in this case, since I was not as a journalist, I was just as a traveler that happened to have been on that bus. And this
Hmm.
experience, I said, there's always a reason why things happened, right?
Hmm.
And then this, as I said, I started discovering more and researching more.
Yes.
And then I also, there was at one point, okay, so that was one incident. And then can I share the other incident that occurred?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes. Because you
So,
know what? I want to say something. It is intriguing because you know what? I have never been to Israel. I've never been to Jerusalem. I only know what they show on ABC News and CNN News and all that. So you giving an eyewitness account, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
mhm. Yeah. Well, that experience led me to research further, and there was another experience that also happened to me as I was actually walking with another American friend of mine. We were both walking in Palestine.
Hmm.
We were seeing, like, with our own eyes, how military soldiers live on top, are literally not live, but they're stationed on top of the homes of the Palestinian people, and the front doors are sealed.
I
Yes, yes. And we're like, who in the world would want to live under this condition? No one. This is an occupation that is illegal. That's when I discovered the history and I did further research. So, but then, as my friend and I we were walking there, an Israeli soldier came out of nowhere with a gun, like a rifle, at us, and he said, the state of Israel says, you must leave. And I'm like, well, this is Palestine, and I know that was Palestine. And it's like,
Yes.
as UN, it's like, yes, it's Palestine. So now I started researching. My friend pulled me because that guy literally prepared the rifle to shoot. I was
Wait
like,
a minute.
no.
I'm trying to just draw illustration. You said this in Palestine, they're standing up on people's roofs
Yes,
on apartment complexes with guns. What is the
everywhere.
what's the purpose of it? I'm
They're everywhere. These soldiers, these IDFs, they're all over with their guns terrorizing people. And and if you, for example, in my case, I mean, what's the purpose of them? They're like, oh, I guess we have to then, again, understanding the history of all that has happened. They said, oh, against terrorism. Well, what they're doing is terrorizing people with, like, in the every corner, and terrorizing the Palestinians. And I so happened, like, to be there, and I experienced what they how they terrorize people. So at
yes.
the one point, my friend, he's an American guy, white guy. He pulls me. He says, Dalia, we better leave. I'm like frozen right there. Like, no, I am
Mhm.
not going anywhere because I'm not doing nothing bad. I mean, what am I? This is what we are seeing with our own eyes. So
Mm.
my friend, he literally had to pull me, and then, as I said, that Israeli soldier would have. They have, as I said, have killed Americans, and that's the other thing that in the news it doesn't show. And why? Because they control the news. They control the mainstream U.S. media, and this is where America is under occupation. And it is, they track
Wow.
our communication, they block it. Since then I have been like my communication has been blocked and tracked. And it is for me, it was a changing experience in my life, because the more that I went into it, and I was, like I said, I was with friends, not by myself, because
Yeah.
this is the only place out of all the places in the earth that I've traveled to. I've traveled to Colombia, Mexico. You tell me, I've traveled to, like, supposedly, these places that are, and never in my entire life had I been
Mhm.
threatened to with a gun and a rifle in front of me. Never. So it is very, to me, very
Yeah.
And you from
eh,
Chicago, right?
yeah, I'm from Chicago, but but I have never experienced something like that, though.
Mhm.
I have
I,
never been. Go ahead.
mhm. Hold on for 1 second. You got a question, Johnny? If you don't, I got a question. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My question is, when you talk about occupation, I would like
Yes.
to ask you, why are they fighting in the Middle East? Because there's someone that is looking at this being broadcast and they do not understand the history of
Sure.
why they are fighting. And if you could give clarification to
Sure.
educate them, I would appreciate
Yes. So basically, what has happened is the following. After World War II, the many of the Jewish people did, like, what is called, well, it was a what they call the transfer agreement. So
it.
they
Okay.
were in Germany with Hitler, and they
Mhm.
decided, hey, transfer our wealth to Palestine,
Mm.
okay, and we will move there as long as you don't
Yes.
kill us, and we can go. The
Yes.
Palestinian people back then accepted them, and they came in boats and you can actually, right now you can go and find literally some of the leaders of Israel. They're literally their passports from when they were coming,
Yes.
into Palestine. And so Palestinian people were welcoming, and they accepted them, the transfer agreement. However, then
Mhm.
Britain, out of, decided to write a letter and give the right to a state of Israel. Wait, how
Yes.
in the world? It's like a colonizing company, a country like Britain has the sole right to do that. I
Yes.
mean, is it okay? No, it's not okay. So this is the backstory.
Yes.
When people talk about October 7th, it's like, no, this isn't it. No, it has been happening for 75 years.
Mm-hmm.
Britain had no right on giving that. The Palestinian people welcome the Jewish community, the Jewish. Now, let me tell you very clearly, in Israel, they
Okay.
don't allow you to do a DNA test because most of the
What
Jewish
is it?
people that are
What is a DMA for those that don't know? I don't know, but
the
tell.
blood test that shows your ancestry, where you're
Oh,
from, where your
oh,
background.
okay, I got it. I
They
got it. Okay.
Yeah, they don't allow, because what has happened is that they were from Europe. These
Okay.
the Israelis, Jewish people that came were from Europe, not from that region of the world, and that's why
Yes.
Israel does not allow for anybody to take. It's a criminal act, and you can actually go to jail for
You
Mm-hmm.
doing
you
that.
you
Now,
know,
can I?
I find
Mhm.
I was just ready to say I find that interesting because I did some study myself, and I I found out that the Jewish citizens or Israeli citizens have less than 3% Semitic blood, which is probably equal to you and I. And so it's a question about this term called anti-Semitic, which is often attributed to when someone says anything negative about Israel. So that's curious.
Right. No, furthermore, when you ask yourself, okay, um, why would they not allow that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they don't allow people? Because they literally, this is what they do. I further discovered, they go to different countries all over the world, and anybody who has a Jewish last name or who claims to be Jewish, they will literally pay that person. So you have people from New York. I met three women
Mm-hmm.
in Peru. Listen carefully. Three women in one of my travels, and at that time I
Yes.
had not yet
Yes.
been to Palestine. So, or had I? I'm not sure. At one point, I met these three ladies, and they were
Yes.
telling me, okay, they got paid 20,000 so they could move from New York to there, and I thought, wait,
From
why?
New York
Mm-hmm.
to where?
To Israel, to take homes or Palestinian people. So basically, because they're Americans, they're going to be protected
Mm-hmm.
by our government to go ahead and take Palestinians' homes and lands. Yeah, so they are
Yes.
used
And so they was basing so you're saying that they're uh recruiting basically
yes, yes,
Jewish people to move to Palestine,
yes.
right? So what are the requirements? I mean, so they're looking for people who are of the Jewish religion. They have to be a member of a synagogue.
You know what? I didn't go into detail as far as the ladies. All I know is what they were sharing with me, that they just had to claim they were Jewish.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And as long as they claim they were Jewish, is like 20, especially if they were Americans, $20,000, we
Mm-hmm.
move you and we provide you with everything, and it's like, what? And it didn't make any sense. Again,
Hmm.
as I'm putting two and two together, it's like, oh, now it makes sense. When that man
Mm-hmm.
told me that we were their slaves, it is true, because they're taking our tax money. Well, we in America here, we don't have universal health care. We don't have universal education. We don't have the
Yes.
benefits that they have, and yet they do have all these benefits. So our tax money, it through our corrupt politicians, many of them, like I said, 19 of them have dual citizenship with Israel. Why? And then there's this one from Florida, I believe his name is Brian Matz,
Yes.
wearing a uniform of IDF in Congress. So I question, wait, how in the world is he serving Americans when
Hmm.
he's actually telling us, hey, and outside of his doors, many of these politicians outside of their doors say, oh, we stand with Israel. Wait, so who are your allegiance to? Your allegiance is to Israel or to the American people? And so that's when I
Yes.
started further researching and discover more and more. And of course, the force of APAC, the funding and the corruption.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
where do we fall as Americans on all of this? Well, we fall
Let
into
me,
the fact that
let me say something real. Let me say
sure,
something real quick to the people. The people that are listening to this, we are not anti-Semitic, and to be anti-Semitic, you got to really be against somebody, of color. But we are not against the Jews. She's giving information that is factual, and she has done research on this. I just want to put.
I mean, this sounds like a little more than research. This sounds like something more dependable than research, like personal experience.
She's putting her personal experience. I'm listening, but I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. No, and then right. One as I said, this experience changed my entire life. From things happen for a reason, and I am more than certain, because I also went to the tomb of Abraham, the father of the three religions. I went there. I was there, and the father of the three religions. I'm not kidding you. On the one side is like they came. There was an American who came and did a massacre this is a mosque, and he killed all these Muslim people, and then they took half of the mosque. So now you can go on one side is the Jewish community, and another one the Muslim community. So I went in both, because guess what? That's just the way I am. I'm gonna go in and find what's happening, right? Okay, so then at one point I'm literally holding, there's rails, right? And I can share the picture if you want me to. There's rails, and I'm holding it, and I'm like looking at this.
You know what? If they let people know that are these graphic pictures?
Oh no, this is the one from the place that I the mosque and the tomb of Abraham.
Yeah, hold on for 1 second. Yeah, how you doing, sister?
Sure.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, so that's this is very enlightening. And I was just thinking when you was talking, like I'm very much against this DNA test. So yeah, I thought, I mean, we here in America, we're so apt to get this test. So that's very curious that you have a demographic of people who won't take the test.
No, they don't allow you to. It's illegal for them. Like Israelis decided that it's illegal for you to take it, because then it would prove that your background. Where's your background from?
You're not Semitic.
Yes, exactly. And that's, like I said, they went and gather people from different parts. So you will see people in Israel that are from different. They have different dual citizenship. There's a a lot of them. They're also American. And then let me just finish the story of Abraham. When I was there, literally, I'm holding the there's bars.
I have a question. You say Abraham. I have a question. You say you went to his grave. Where is his grave? Okay.
Hebron. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but Hebron.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And no problem. So, and then like I literally heard a voice saying, "Go in peace and tell the world of what you're seeing." And what I see is injustice. I saw injustice. But as I said, since that experience, every communication, everything was being blocked. And I'm like, wait, if what the Israelis want is peace, how could they achieve peace by terrorizing people like this? I mean, I went through and I was inside that bus. And then also what is happening right now, bombings. Are you going to tell me that I am going to be okay with them targeting children? I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it. I was there. Yes.
I have a question, because I think that I know what some people will respond to that. So I'm going to ask a question, that I know they will ask, which is this, do you think that this is a existential struggle? Existential?
For who? For the
Israel.
No.
Or either side. I mean, either side, okay. That's a question for both sides.
So, okay, so if you're claiming you want peace, why in the world are you going to treat like Israelis? If they're claiming they want peace,
Hmm.
why in the world, which I saw with my own eyes, how
Hmm.
they treated the Palestinian children and what is
Hmm.
happening right now in the bombings? I have
Hmm.
friends there. I have people who I'm following and they're showing me. So if you want peace, how can you achieve it by destroying? Think about it. Think
Hmm.
about it, brother. You like imagine. They kill all your family members. They destroy your home. How are you how if I come and destroy, I mean kill all your family members, destroy your homes, your neighborhood, how would you react? Are you going to be still having love for me that I did that? No,
So,
and that's what I saw with my own eyes when I like these checkpoints are real and they degrade the Palestinians and they abuse. It's abuse and this is apartheid. I had never in my entire life had thought that to this day in this time this something like this existed, and it does exist. Now, why is it connected to our country, to the US? Because it's very much connected
Yeah.
with
mhm,
our
mhm,
government
yeah. Well,
politicians who will completely tell you. My politician right now, Tammy Duckworth. I've been calling and calling. I'm not the only one. There's thousands of us. You can see on her social media. Please, everybody, anybody,
Yes.
go into her social media.
Yes.
Everybody's please ceasefire, ceasefire. The lady will not respond. Why? She was in the military, and it seems that there's some connection right there. It's like some good military men that are saying, "Hey, America's independent. We should not be like. Why are we fighting these wars
Hmm.
for Israel when we have our own stuff?"
Hmm.
There's people like that, but many of the military people are like, "Well, why are they fighting over there?" My
Hmm.
question is like, what happened to them? Were they brainwashed to think what their religion is supposed to be to Americans or to
Hmm.
Israel? And why is
I,
that?
I get. I got to
Mhm.
put. You got to follow up, Johnny, because I got to put.
yeah, I
If you
got a
got to
couple of
follow
questions.
up.
So,
Sure.
I mean, a comment, got a question also. So, I'm thinking about this, and because it's said that it's repeated time and time again that Israel is our friend, right? Sounds like they saying something different over in Israel concerning the U.S., but
Hmm.
it's stated again and again that Israel is our friend. Okay, so I know my friends like Clifton here. I
Hmm.
learn from. There's certain things we have a conversation, and I I learned something I didn't know, and if it's good, I apply it. So Israel was a state and was our friend during the 1960s. And when Dr. Martin Luther King was promoting the nonviolent movement.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if it's and it was a means to achieve peace through peaceful means.
Hmm.
So I find it again curious that our friend Israel is not implementing uh having learned from the US.
No, it will. And if people don't believe me, please don't believe me. Go yourselves, and try to preach about Jesus and see what happens. See what happens. I have
Uh-oh.
several videos of people. Literally, you ask Israelis, what do you think of Jesus? They'll tell you he's a crazy man. Some of the ladies who
Yeah.
they're preaching and they're being harassed by the children and bullied, and it's like literally they're blocked. Once they come out of there, they're blocked so that they don't share this information. And
Hmm.
so, they say, is a democracy?
Hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Democracy is when you treat
Hmm.
every human being equally. And that is not the case. Just because, say, for example, this is being allowed because it also has to do with racism.
Hmm.
Remember, the group of people that came from the transfer of the transfer agreement, they were
Mhm.
from not the Nazis. that region. So there's a lot
Yes.
of racism, and this is again the colonizing Britain, and we're dealing with the global racism that for many, not centuries, but for many years we have never addressed, we have never dealt with. This is happening. Why? Because the Palestinian people are Arabs, because the Palestinian people are brown, because the Palestinian people are Muslim. Do you think this would have been allowed, the bombings of destructions of their entire pretty much homes and neighborhoods, if it was a white European country?
We're gonna leave that alone.
Exactly, brothers.
I get it
So
though.
that is
I
that is
get it.
my point. Is like, look, and if people think that I have hate, no, wait a minute. First of all, in my heart, I will challenge myself. And I challenge myself to think, how can I love this man who I'm seeing right there destroying all these buildings, Palestinian buildings with humans inside? How can I love that man? It's just like, it's hard for me to think that any human being can have in their heart and then celebrate. They celebrating. Like, I have footage of them celebrating and cheering as they are destroying completely buildings with people inside them, knowing that there's people and children inside them, knowing that they're literally targeting children.
So can you know what?
How can I have love? It's just like, I'm challenging myself, and it is very difficult. I can only think is like, wait, there's gotta be something wrong with this person's experiences of life, because how can anyone carry those hats?
Well, first of all, I would just I feel it. I hear you. But I would say what I've recognized, because of through my personal experience and stories I've heard, love is not necessarily full of sentiment and emotion. Love is what you do. So as long as you ain't go over there and shoot nobody, I think you're doing fine.
Oh, no, no. And if anything, I've been literally praying for them to see and try to connect to their consciousness, to the good part of them, because I'm sure somehow in some experience in life they must have had something good. But when, like, literally I'm seeing that they're celebrating, and I don't know if you've seen any of these videos, but there are literally thousands of videos that you can see. Just go and befriend somebody in X on Twitter, or former Twitter and X, from Gaza, and they can share videos, they can share information, or anywhere. Like I have tons of the images that I gather, because after I was there in 2013, I was there in 2013. This is December 2013. After I was there in 2014, they bombed, and they bombed the place, and with people and children. I was devastated. It's like, how can anybody target children? I mean, children. And then this congressman said that the babies, even the Palestinian babies, are basically a threat. How in the mind of this man? And I cannot get that man out of my
Oh
brain.
yeah, I remember a story. This one hurt. I mean, I'm not Palestinian. I haven't been to Israel, but it hurt. It hurt my feelings when they was telling a story about the IDF went into, I believe it was a hospital or something, and
What did you say
they
the
was telling
IDF is? The IDF is again.
Israeli Defense Forces.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
And they were saying how it was and they was doing this in the way they articulated it was like they was justifying what Israel was doing, right? They pointed out that they went into some room in the hospital and a little boy was dressed like a terrorist, which caused me to question, what does a terrorist dress like? I'm not sure. Maybe I have to do my research, but they were saying the little boy was dressed like a terrorist and had a play gun, acting like he was shooting IDF. And I presume that was supposed to make me have some type of sentiment for Israel, which I normally do, But that didn't make me have sympathy for Israel. I'm like, where does that come in the picture at? Like, it's a little boy. I mean, how is that a justification for any type of violence?
Yeah. And talk about the numbers. I mean, how many children have they right now in this attack? Israelis have killed Palestinian children. I mean, 12,000, 13,000. So are you telling me that they're the problem? No, they're not the problem. And the problem becomes that our government, I mean, as you can see, constantly, Biden is being ceasefire, ceasefire. And they're not literally looking at the bigger picture. Now, the other hidden agenda that the Israelis, my understanding is that they're after the land of the king of David, which the greater Israel, that includes part of Saudi Arabia, part of Iraq, and that's why we are being used as Americans, like, okay, to go into that war to fight this, to go into the war to fight that other country, that war, Iraq, and all of this. Like, when in reality, how is that benefiting us? How is that benefiting us? Nothing. It's actually putting us more in danger. That's why I never say, when I travel, I never say I'm American. Why? Because it's more putting me in danger, because people will normally they have the understanding, hey, and obviously, when you get to talk to people, then they
Yes.
understand, it's not the person, the Americans, is the government,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
ultimately, we're fighting the wars for someone else's ideology and goals. And it's like,
Mhm.
how is this good for Americans when in our own neighborhoods, look, are here, like the
Yeah.
homeless, the need, the social, I mean, sir, this just like, I'm like, how is this all like, it makes no
Yeah.
sense to me.
I have that. I have to ask you for
Sure.
people for individuals that are just tuning in to this broadcast. She is giving a eyewitness of account of what she saw with her own eyes
That's right. Hmm.
and heard in Palestine and Israel. So, and this, like I say, this is not an anti-Semitic broadcast. I want to get
No.
that disclaimer. I would like to ask you the graphic images that you showed on
Yeah.
your show of
Hmm.
kids, our children, being body bags and being used as uh, target practice by that group. Can you expand on that? Because I saw a child with two black eyes, and if you could
Yes.
please, and this is graphic for people that don't want to watch this, you really should turn. But she's explaining what you saw.
I'm
Okay.
I won't show the pictures, but I will explain the kind of weapons that they're using. They're experimenting with the Palestinian people for 75 years. This has been happening, and there's couple things. When people see the babies that they look like they're still alive, but they're not, is because the bombs suck out the air from the children, and basically they die instantly because of the short of breathness. And then also they keep on bombing with the phosphorus, and it's like it's illegal to use that.
Chemical weapon.
Yes, and it is. I mean, it's already been said, and again and again, and they still have continue to use it. This is not the first time, they've been doing this, and again with the why, because and even the Prime Minister of Israel, he keeps on saying, uh, we have the Americans. Wait, you have the corrupt politicians, not the American people, because American people, we're good people. We are good people. We
Yes.
care for other humans.
Mhm.
And what the ideology of this man is like, are you kidding me? It's like me saying, okay, so I was sharing with someone else. So my background is Mexican American. So I'm like, okay, if you think about it, okay, California, Nevada, Nuevo Mexico, and Texas, Utah, all of this was Mexican land. So would it be okay for me just to say, and the people who are from those lands, to say, hey, we're gonna kick out everybody and just bring our land back and make our own country? No, that's what they're trying to do. And so I'm like, it's just sort of like, it's okay for them to carry out these atrocities. Well, it's while other things are happening. So it's not okay. It's not okay to just go ahead and
Can you,
literally.
can you describe? I like to ask you to elaborate. Can you describe on the graphic images that we just can't show of some of the? Can you describe it where we don't have a visual to where an individual that's listening they can know some of the atrocities that were done to these children in these body bags
You
and
can't share
these
video.
and these troops being using as according to what you say you saw, they use children for target practice. If you could
Oh yeah,
elaborate on it
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
draw them a picture to where I appreciate that.
Well, first
There's no sharing video here.
I
I
could
don't,
share,
you
but
know,
it's very graphic.
I don't
Yeah,
want to do that.
but that's
But
why I
I
tell
will.
people.
But you know what? But she can discuss it and draw. She can. But go ahead.
If people don't believe me, they can
If it's a
literally
YouTube
befriend.
video, the reason I
Mhm,
want to, oh, time for prep. But
mhm.
go ahead.
They can
Go,
go and
go ahead.
visit, and I can
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
but I will go ahead. For example, one of the children, one of the little girls, and this is in 2014. Okay, so the little girl has literally like purple eye, like all around like this. It's all purple. And not only that, but I mean, they have done horrific things to the children where they have like images that are like they're basically in parts. You see the kids in parts, and you have literally you have atrocity. I mean, I cannot describe like like uh, the kind of horrific actions they've carried out, uh, all kinds of I mean, like little from targeting like snipers killing children, and then you have Zionist soldiers on social media bragging about killing babies.
God, all praises to
Mhm.
God. Yeah.
So I got a
Go,
question.
go ahead,
So
sister.
You can find that in social media. You can find it
No,
in
no,
SpaceX.
I've seen it. I've
so
seen it.
a lot of people are taught that this. I'm okay. I'm having problems saying this, but anyway, a lot of people are taught that what's going on in Israel today is an extension of an ancient struggle between the Hebrews and the Arabs, and the, a from Jacob and Esau. Do I have my information correct? So I mean, are you aware of that?
Uh, Honestly, I do not know. All I know is that as humans, we're. It, I mean, any human who thinks it's okay to target children, I question, and I wonder why.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why would you go after children?
I,
So as far as what is happening, as far as religion and all that, remember I have gone to all kinds of places where there is different types of religions. The world is so huge and so diverse, humanly. I mean, like so diverse that is like you have people from Tibet, people from different kinds of practices, and for me to say, oh, this is right, this is wrong, it would be wrong for me to it's each people and individuals. As far as no, this is for what I see is more that Britain, a colonizing country who had no
Hmm.
right in giving land that did not belong to them, why didn't they give themselves that land, land in Britain? Why didn't they? Why in Palestine? And all of a sudden, and you will have professors. There's a Jewish professor that I follow very much, like explaining into detail, you know, the detail of everything. And people say, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic," and he's Jewish. He's like his ancestors are survivors of the Holocaust, and he's like, no, and because of this is because we need to address this so that it doesn't happen again. And one of the things that I must say It's like when I was there, I kept on saying to myself, just because it was done to them, that doesn't give them the right to do it onto another group of people, you know. So yeah, that's what I say. Yeah.
Yeah, my question I would like to pose to you is, if these atrocities are going on, just like the Holocaust
Uh-huh.
and the transatlantic slave trade was in on TVs then, what is the reason that they're not showing it on ABC, CNN News, and NBC and CBS and WG? What is the in your opinion, what is the reason that they're not doing?
Oh, because they're owned by the same Zionists. Yeah, that's why. Any journalist who actually wants to do stories on the truth, they get censored and they get fired right away. So that's pretty much what's happened, you know.
Mm-mm. Go ahead, Johnny. I got to follow up, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
My my question is, in your opinion, why did the United Nations in 1947 or 48 decide to give their land and displace a group of people, and then even being at the negotiating table, the Palestinians were at the negotiating tables and they walked away from the negotiating tables? What is the reason that that's like Johnny having a house and you having a house and you have a room that you are not utilizing, and an outside force coming in and saying that, you know what, you can have that room, and they're not entitled, and they don't really have any entitlement to the land. What is the reason, in your opinion, that the United Nations did that?
Well, I think that my understanding is that the land that they actually gave the Israelis, it was the fertile land, and the desert, like the not very good fertile or not good land, was given to the Palestinian people. And I believe that at one point, you know, they meant, you know, hey, let's have the two state, and you know, however, every single time is sabotaged, and it's sabotaged by different ways, and you can see it in the constant attacks that have happened. So, for example, uh, in right now, what happened in October 7th, you can see that obviously Palestinian people don't have, or you know, they always claim Hamas, Hamas. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's an excuse because Hamas was created by Israel to divide the Palestinians. Yeah, that's what they, and they know it, and they everybody knows it. They
Mhm,
Hamas was created by Israel to divide the Palestinian people.
mhm,
And then what happened right now is that in on October 7th, you can see the tanks, but bombing their own people, their own homes of Israel. You know, and it's like, so why are you doing? Because they wanted to galvanize the whole world around to support Israel, so they can go ahead and take the whole entire strip. And eventually, because it has a lot of natural resources right in the ocean, which they're being taken advantage of. So it has to do a lot with that. And I think it's
mhm,
time that finally, you know, the world leaders need to stand up and say, hey, you know, Palestinians need to be treated equally and with the same dignity and respect. And if you
What
don't, I
what
mean,
I
go travel.
mhm,
what I was told is that the reason why they chose Israel and gave them land there, uh, one is because the Jewish people over the centuries have had a history of being persecuted in the different European countries. And Israel was thought to be, or Palestine was thought to be, the area where they should settle, referencing certain promises that God made to Abraham.
Okay. As far as that, I don't know. All I know is that it's not humane the way that the Israelis are treating the Palestinian people. And the voice I heard when I was there in the tomb of Abraham to go tell the world, you know, of what I saw injustices is what I need to do. And as far as what has happened in the past or what is happening, you know, how people perceive. different religions. It's everyone's right to practice their own religion, or and there's a lot of Jewish people who actually stand with Palestine, with Palestinian people, because they know it's
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of Jewish people, and you see that. However, you have Netanyahu. He's from Poland. You know that, right? He's from Poland. He's not from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I
So
mean, he was educated here. He
yeah,
spent his young years here.
so
So
that so you gotta question yourself as to what is really happening in what is really happening behind the scenes, and as far as how, I mean, all of us we're being spied by the Mossad, all of us
Mhm.
Americans. I mean, Mossad is pretty much with the CIA, and it's like, wait a minute. So are we
Mhm.
being protected, or are we being spies to benefit a certain entity, a certain
Mhm.
group of people, or a certain ideology of group of people? And
Mhm.
it's more messes of us, and
Mhm.
than that. I think overall Americans and the whole world wants peace, and
Mhm.
this has been happening for 75 years. And peace can only be achieved when you really work for it. So now you have Zionist Israelis blocking the aid. So I ask myself, what kind of person would block the aid to people, to the Palestinian people?
Mhm.
Why? Because they're Muslim? Why? Because they're brown?
Mhm.
Why? Because they're Arab? I
Mhm.
mean, no,
well,
you see
because
them
they
blocking.
can.
Or because of
Yeah.
what?
They can. That's usually the reason for most
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I would
But
like,
is
I
it
like to
right?
ask you. I
Hmm.
would like to ask you a question.
Sure.
The Mossad, which is the equivalent of the CIA, okay, in the United States of America.
Yeah.
I would like
Mhm.
to ask you that the Mossad has so much information and knowledge. I would like to ask you, is it a possibility that those people that parachuted into Israel,
Mm.
okay, to cause the provocation for them to make attacks that was false flag?
Oh
Is it
yes.
a is it a possibility?
When you see everything that occurred, and the different locations and everything, I tell you, it's beyond like the resources that the Palestinian people have, or the Hamas has. So again, this was the way I see it. It was galvanizing so that people would be just on the one side with Israel. And many people in the beginning, you're like, yeah, this obviously is wrong to
Now
go in, but at
I'm
the same
asking you if that provocation that took place to escalate the invasion of Palestine, was that a act that was a false flag operation, a possibility that there was a false flag operation by the Mossad, which is the equivalent of the CIA.
sure, that's exactly what has happened in all the time, in all the times that Israel has attacked the Palestinian people. They'll create this sort of like a situation,
Mhm.
and then later on you get to see like the truth. And the same thing that happened to us with 9/11. I mean, like,
Yeah.
wait, you're gonna tell me that 9/11 happened how?
Mhm.
When I know that, can you believe it? I'll tell you what, some of the hijacker images that they showed us, that the media showed us, they're still alive. So how can they be alive? Their
Yep.
identity was stolen, identity theft. And
So
that's
it
where I'm
just,
like,
mhm. So that provocation that took place, that was a pretext for them to make the
oh
invasion.
yeah.
And I'm talking about it's sad. What I mean, what is the what is, I say the Middle East because there is no Middle East, it's actually Africa. But the thing is, what is the solution to what is the solution? And was that a slap in the face when the United States put an embassy in Jerusalem? Was that a
Okay.
slap in the face? And what is the solution?
The solution, number one, is to remove. Why in the world is our tax money that for Americans going
Mhm.
straight over there? That's the first thing. Our
Mhm.
support should not be, no, our support should be like, hey, diplomatic. but not financial. Why financial? Why with the weapons? Why with all that? It's like
Mhm,
diplomatic. Yeah, we support what you want a state. Okay, so did the Palestinians. Okay, we support peaceful, but not when you're sending tons and tons of weapons. That's the problem. So
mhm,
the solution, the only solution, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and is the only way that we're going to get there is through peace.
mhm.
And how do we
Was
achieve peace? Non-violently, by
mhm,
actually treating both with dignity and equality. But
and-
unfortunately, the since the media has already made it very clear to the American people that all Muslims, all Arabs are terrorists. It's like, how can anybody, like, when I actually, like, literally, I ask people here in America, well, have you traveled to the Middle East? No. Well, do you know any
well,
Arabs, any
do-
Muslims? No. So then how can you call them terrorists when you have never met,
mhm,
you don't have
mhm,
friends, you have never traveled? And it's
mhm,
like, then go and see and just meet, and then you get to see, then you get to speak, as far as the your personal experience. But the media has already done a very good job in pretty much
Prejudice,
brainwashing.
prejudice thing.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so was that also, was that a slap in the face putting a U.S. embassy in Jerusalem, and why?
Well, to be honest, one thing is that equal, as treat with equality. That is what needs to happen. So the Palestinian people deserve their state, which they for why hasn't the like, if Americans really wanted peace, they should have also said, hey, this is this must happen. And I can assure you, if the American Palestinian,
Again, I'm saying, was that a slap in the face putting a United States embassy in Jerusalem when all knowing that all of these atrocities have been going on? That's what I'm asking
I don't know where the U.S. embassy was before.
you.
Was it in Tel
No,
Aviv?
they did not have one. Donald Trump put one, I think, in
Oh, I don't know.
but I'm asking, was that a slap in the face? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
we're being used left and right. And
well,
they
I
will.
mean,
Mhm,
I don't.
mhm.
I don't think it's a question about whether um it's right to have an embassy there. It's about how'd you get permission to put one there. And
Good question.
so,
Netanyahu agreed to it, brother, in the cabinet.
right. So, I mean, that's kind of goes back to your example. Like, someone else can't give me permission to occupy a room in your house.
Hmm. Yeah, I was saying it was hypocrisy to do that, and you knew what was being done, the injustice that was being done to the Palestinian imperialists to put a stamp of approval by putting an embassy there. You was really, in my opinion. But
I mean,
go ahead, Johnny.
they didn't need no embassy. I mean,
I
to
mean,
get a
Donald
stamp of
Trump did.
approval, the
Listen,
billions of dollars that they send over there every year, that's
yeah,
the stamp of approval.
yeah.
Yeah,
The fact that once, there's tension in the region and we send aircraft carriers over there, that's the stamp of approval.
Yeah.
right. And then
Okay. Mhm,
not only federal money, but states, individual states
mhm,
also send tons of money. I'm like, what in the world? And it's just like, when you go ahead and discover it, I like how much money each state besides the federal money. So
mhm,
I mean, here we in America, we're falling apart, and yet our money's going out there. How do you think I feel? Oh my God, I'm feeling like very disappointed and very ready. Like I said, I've been asking for my representatives. Most of my
Tammy Duckworth.
representatives,
Yes.
except her, she hasn't not called ceasefire. I'm telling you, I have been after her, and I will go ahead and find her until I see her face to face and say, why have you not done that? Because you look at her social media. Go look at her social media.
I
Everyone is,
will.
is asking, you know,
Mhm,
and she's from here, from this state, and it's like, do your job, lady. But guess what? The funding,
mhm,
that is where I call her corrupt, because her
mhm,
funding for her campaign is what? APAC.
mhm,
So that is the corruption.
Yeah,
So,
yes.
Hmm.
You got a question, Johnny? Because I got another question. Go ahead. If you got a question, go ahead.
No.
My question is, what we know what's going on in Palestine, but what you essentially saying is in Palestine, Israel, they control the water that goes into Palestine, they control the electricity, and there's mistreatment of the kids, and the children are being used as target practice and beat up, and mothers are being killed.
oh yeah. One of the occasions, there were four pregnant
Fathers
women.
are being killed.
Mhm.
Yes, four pregnant women were
Wow.
walking to the hospital and they were killed and then ran over by a bulldozer. You tell me, how can I love a human or humans who do that? And
Mhm.
you could see the images. I mean, you
Mhm.
can find
So,
them. You can go ahead and ask and find the images.
so speaking of pregnant women, uh, are, are you aware of the story where I guess a lot like the women that were recruited from New York, they were also i- immigrating people into Israel from Ethiopia, but they would sterilize the women
Mm.
upon entry.
Wow.
I
So,
was not aware of that, or I have no idea. But it's like I wouldn't. I mean, I'm telling you that my understanding also that they sell organs of the people of the Palestinian people,
mhm,
and you can find a video of a undercover couple who actually
mhm,
went in there, and it's undercover, and the couple and the ladies trying to sell them organs,
mhm,
and so they're as far as it's like no one is putting a limit to these individuals, and I ask myself why. And it has to do a lot with the fact that many of the governments in around our world are under occupation, and that's where we need to, as people, as humans, as
mhm,
humanity, as good humans, stand up and say, enough is enough. If you want peace, peace will only be achieved by literally treating each other with dignity and equality.
mhm. Would you like to send a message out to people that speak Espanol about
Oh,
this subject matter? And I'm gonna be quiet. I wouldn't understand anyway. Would you like to send a message out to them and tell
sí,
them about the people, the atrocities that are going on, people that speak Espanol?
sí, claro. Bueno,
Yes.
pues yo visité Palestina Israel, y para mí fue una experiencia muy cambiadora de mi vida porque eh, tienen dos tipos de autobuses, los turistas y los de los palestinos. Y cuando el autobús de turistas se descompuso, me pusieron en el de palestinos y fui tratada en una manera horrible. Entonces, yo viajo por todo el mundo y como humanos debemos de tratarnos con dignidad y respeto. Entonces, lo mismo que es en la misma manera que los israelitas quieren que se traten, pues es la misma manera que tienen que tratar a los hermanos palestinos para tener una paz mundial. So, ese es mi mensaje a todo mundo, no porque yo diga, pero puede ir cualquier persona y ver con sus propios ojos cómo se le trata a una persona palestina y cómo se le trata a una persona israelita, y que es una injusticia. Y de veras, con todo mi corazón, quiero que hagamos una paz en este mundo para que podamos entender que al final del día, cuando nos muéramos, solamente somos una alma, energía. So basically, what I was just sharing is that at the end, when we're all gone, when we're
Yes.
all dead, we're just souls,
So,
energies,
yes.
exactly, and we're just energies, and then achieving peace. And achieving peace actually is also means looking at ourselves and
Mhm,
seeing where we're coming from. So in my show, at the end, towards the end, I do ask people to see their how they were upbringings, and how those upbringings impact how they behave in life. Because as my understanding is that since the Israelis, they're actually trained to believe from their when since they're in school that hey, they're superior, that they're the chosen people, and that therefore that they have that they have the right to all these things. And I have come across several of people who have shared that and who have also spoken out against it and said that's wrong.
Mm.
And
Uh,
you can
uh,
find people also online.
a question. So, what is your religious background?
My religious background. Well, I am actually first a practicing Native American. Practice Native Indigenous. I normally would practice with the Navajo or Lakota here in America. My parents Catholic. Then when I was in the Middle East, I converted to Islam, and
Yeah.
I converted not because of this. I converted when I had a vision in Peru. I was in Peru and I
Yes.
had visions, clear visions, and then I had dreams. And remember, that voice that spoke to me, when you have angels, literally, when I have taken pictures of myself, there's literally you could see here behind like these energies, and I find it that no matter what religion is anyone or the practice or what's the calling is that you in this journey, that's one of the reasons why I love to be Mexican American, because the foundation of like the culture, they teach us to think of it as a journey. It's only a journey and it's okay. At the end, there's death, and it's you just cross over and you are back to energy. And we
Mhm.
have Dia de los Muertos. So you will see, people, you might think, oh, they're crazy celebrating, but we're not celebrating death. We're celebrating the energy of humans. They were with us in this
Mhm.
lifetime. So Dia de los Muertos is more a celebration of those moments, of those interactions, of that you had with the people who crossed over and who passed away.
Mhm.
So that part is for me. I treasure it because since I was a kid growing here in America, they would be fearful of death. And while on the other hand, I was like, nah, what do you
Yeah.
fearful? Nah, it's just, it's just like, just another step, just another
Yes.
step. So
Yeah.
am I fearful of dying? No, I'm fearful of not doing what I'm being asked to do, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I am just energy
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just energy.
Mhm. I would like to ask you, what we have been asking you series of questions, and what, perhaps there is a message that you wanted to convey, subject matter that you wanted to touch on that we did not expand on. So if there is something that you specifically want to say to the
Well,
audience to give them clarity and information, I want to give you that opportunity. Okay.
I mean, I think we touched upon all the points, and I want to invite people because I try to get myself in the minds of the individuals who are destroying the properties, the homes, and knowing that there's humans in there. I try to get myself into their mind, and I really want them to think and reach and into themselves.
Yes.
Where does it all come from? Where did it
Yes.
all start? Because at the end, there, when I go through the cemeteries,
Yes.
I don't see colors. I don't
Yes.
see religions. I don't
Yes.
see wealth or any how much money they had in their bank accounts.
Hmm.
So I just want to touch upon that these individuals have been following me.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm sure Mossad, I'm sure CIA, I'm sure
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
spying on all of us. And they're
Yes.
humans like you and I. They're no
Yes.
different. They are humans. They breathe in and out. They have families. They have, but what got them to those points in their lives to think
Yeah.
that these kind of behaviors are acceptable? For them
Yes.
to start questioning that. And that's all. And then for our Palestinian brothers and sisters, it's a lot of trauma and healing that for 75 years, imagine if the same thing that I say with the African American community. There's a lot of opportunity for healing because
Yes.
we have, as a country, we have not healed.
Yes.
The No, we have not. There's still a lot of racism. There's still, and it is time, I think, that for us to ask ourselves, why have I not gone to that place?
You,
Yeah.
I would to that I would like to say that there was a big debate during the 60s. Cliff and I have discussed it recently. The debate between separate but equal versus integration.
Mm,
And we answered that question, obviously, because of the integration of the schools and different uh, laws about integrating the neighborhoods, for lack of a better way of saying it, where they
Mhm.
have housing laws and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it's, I think that part of the answer is separate but equal. So we resolved it to some extent, integration.
Mm.
But as far as the separate but equal, that is a community thing. And when I say community, I'm not talking about neighborhood like we're in the same vicinity, but as a people, we have things in common, of common history, common trauma. These things are supposed to bind and bond us. So the healing part is the part that is separate but equal. That's the part where African Americans have to come together and heal themselves, because that's just not a realistic goal to have, you know, the other party participate in your healing, because that's really what a community is for. So until we recognize that, and yes, a part of that makes the struggle hard to realize that is the trauma and the drama of our history. But we must know that the only people that can heal us is us.
yes,
Mhm.
and that's the message I want to share. That the healing starts from within us, and I can say, oh yeah, I sympathize, but I didn't go through that experience of
Mm.
slavery. My ancestors didn't go through that experience of slavery. It's not within my DNA. But
Mhm.
people who have, they have that opportunity potentially to go through that process of healing. But again, it's still something that we need to address and speak out and share.
Mhm. Mhm. I'd like to ask you, actually, two more questions.
Mhm.
There's a possibility that Israel, at some point, they may bomb Iraq's nuclear facility.
Iran.
I mean, Iran's nuclear facilities, probably with the British
What
and
that
the
what
United States of America. What do you think about that? Do you think that Iran has the right to have nuclear capabilities if they say they're going to use them for peaceful means and protect themselves? What is your view about that?
Okay. Well, first of all, when I see how us as America, our country has gone into these wars, like
Mhm.
they told us that there were what weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right?
Mhm.
Were there? No.
No,
When we went into Libya, when we went into all these other countries,
Yeah.
under
and
pretense.
yeah, you can see a documentary of this military gentleman who actually shares like these are the 7 countries that
Mhm.
Israel has wanted to get rid of, so that they become the main sort of main place in the Middle East.
Mhm.
Now, you see, that is the problem that we have fallen into. Our government has fallen trapped into that. How is that going to benefit us? How is that going to how is that going to create peace? So whether Iran has the right or not is like, if we really want peace, if we really want peace, why are American troops all over those areas? And who are they benefiting? Us Americans? Really? How so?
Corporations. Go ahead, though.
Exactly. Corporations that don't care
She's
about
a
the
smart lady.
average and
Go
their
ahead.
pockets. Corporations who care only about profits and not the humans. So that's the problem. And unless our government starts really being for the people, by the people, then it's like then we will have change. And as far as Iran, whether they have the right or not, I my how I see it is like if each country, it doesn't matter which country it is, if they are, and this is where our foreign policy has failed, and we
Mhm,
have this immigration issue because of this. We go and extract all these resources, but for
mhm,
corporations, without regard to the people and the damage it creates and the destabilization of those countries. So the
mhm.
destabilization of those countries creates what? Migration. Where? To the US. So we're complaining about immigration, but then we don't see what our country, our government is doing to those governments. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We need to
Mhm.
first allow those countries to benefit from their own natural resources,
Yeah,
to, thrive
yeah,
individually.
yeah.
Then we can talk about peace. Then we can have really democracy and really peaceful, a peaceful world. But if it's
Mhm.
only for the corporations that are benefiting, that are profiting, not caring about the human beings, not caring about anybody but money, then it is the issue, the bigger issue. So
So,
yes, that's my take on that. And as far as weapons of mass destruction, well, right now, the amount of weapons that were put on Gaza, it's the more than what, three or four
yes,
atomic bombs. Can
yes.
you imagine that? It's like unthinkable. Why,
Yeah. You know something? You know what? I gotta ask you this question because this is current in the news.
Mhm.
Do you think that President Bush of the
Oh,
United States made the right decision by retaliating about U.S. soldiers getting killed? Do you think so?
Is you
And
mean
tell us your
Biden,
reason.
you mean
President
Biden
Biden?
Yeah,
right now?
President Biden, yes.
Oh, okay, right now about the what happened?
And not attacking Iran. Do you think that he made the right decision? I said they have been able to get rid of the U.S. soldiers with impunity. I like to
Okay,
ask you.
so when I post on social media, why is the military, U.S. military in Syria? Everyone responds, still taking the oil. Okay, so you have military to protect the extraction of oil of another country. So therefore, it's like, who is the bad guy here? Really, it's like not Americans, but our government. And it's like, how are we going to finally, when they're not listening to us either? So I think whether he was right or wrong, first of all, like I said, if you really want peace, then you work for peace
I
by
got that. I
peaceful
got
means.
that. But I'm asking you, should they have been able to do that in impunity with no repercussions at all? Did did Biden make the right decision? I said he just had ignored it.
He's just adding more fuel to the fire. It's like, uh, rather, if a country doesn't want you there, Iraq has already said, please leave. If a country doesn't want you there, why keep yourselves in a place that you're not wanted? Because benefiting corporations.
Mhm. I think it was smart that Biden didn't turn it into a bigger escalation by attacking Iran. He, I think he sent out a. But in tyranny is in tyranny, and you are right.
But
Go ahead, Johnny.
my suspicion is that ultimately that's what Zionist Israelis or Netanyahu wants, that we attack Iran. But why should we attack Iran if they're not a threat to us? It's like, why don't they try peace for once in their life?
Yeah.
Why don't they try? Because that's not what they want. What they want is the land of like Greater Israel, which is like, why would you think that it's okay for you to take land that does not belong to you? It's like, you're from Poland, Come on, man.
Well,
Mhm.
I
Smart
what
lady.
I'm seeing, what I'm seeing is very Machiavellian. Everything is about the personal interests of the state and the people who benefit from the state. And they tend to do a good job of appearing to be, uh, moral about it or whatever. But that's just because we don't get the full story in the news.
No, we
Yeah.
don't. Mhm.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You know what? Would you give me some closing statements and please let us know where your YouTube website is and all pertinent information because you know what? So your message needs to be heard on different platforms, and
Yes.
I always encourage my guests to give out that information because there's a million people that should have you on this show. And
Yes. Well,
and,
okay.
and your information and your what time your television, please give us pertinent information about you so they can get in contact with
Yes. Well, I can go ahead and put my email underneath it. Can I add my email here?
you. Yeah, but you
Yeah.
know what? Yeah,
Uh,
You
go
can
ahead.
put it in the chat.
in the chat. Okay. So yeah, anybody can reach me at dalia.tapia.1 at gmail. And I am actually under in SpaceX. I'm very active on SpaceX.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, Under Latina, and not Latina Spirit, but Latina, uh,
mm-hmm,
Dalia Tapia. And
mm-hmm.
then Instagram, I actually under Rashid, uh, 333. I could put it also here, but
Yeah, and
in
you know what? When you give me that, when you do give me the information, I'm going to also put it in the description. But go ahead, and if you type
yes,
it up, I'll show it. Though,
you
go
know
ahead.
what is interesting though, that in Instagram they four accounts, have been blocked,
Hacked.
hacked.
Yes.
And then in Facebook, they tried it. So on Facebook, the one account that actually I go that I'm very much, it's on SpaceX, on X, not SpaceX, X, on the platform
Oh, SpaceX
former
sounded pretty good.
SpaceX, right? But that's
Sound
that's
better than just X.
X, right? SpaceX. No, but because they have spaces. Have you guys gotten onto those spaces? Sometimes you actually people can just go ahead and click on, and then you get onto a space, and you have a chance to talk to people all over the world as well. So, but yeah, and there I'm at Dalia Tapia. And then Latina. So those are the main platforms. And as far as when is Can TV is going to be showing, the times I'm not sure, because I'm not yet a regular producer, but I'm working towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, under Latina Spirit, you'll see Latina Spirit,
Yes.
and I could be reached, also in my phone number. I can actually put it here as well. And
You got to Google. You got to Google's telephone number. Just let us. Okay. Tell
yeah,
us.
yeah, Latina Spirit, just 1630. You want to write it down?
Um,
You want me
if
to
you
put it
type it in, you know what? If you type it in there, I just put it on up there. Okay. Type it
down?
in the chat room.
Okay,
I'll
and
put
then
it.
also, like, I would like to encourage and everyone and anyone to, if they don't believe me, what I've already shared with you. I mean, as I said, when you can find people in actually in Palestine that will share more information, or
Mm-hmm,
even like I said,
mm-hmm,
Israelis who are feeling like literally you have Israeli people in Israel afraid to protest because of the repercussions, what has happened to them and what happens to them. And many of them are leaving because they are not necessarily from there. Many of them
yeah.
are from other countries as well. So you have
Mm-hmm.
people like taking off. As a matter of fact, yesterday or today is like 30,000 people just boom leaving
Wow.
because of the fact they understand is like, hey, look,
Mm-hmm,
if we want peace, we need to work for it. And they know that this, the whole, constantly like aggression is like they say self defense, self defense. Okay,
yeah.
I can only take self defense up to a point before it's like my own eyes got to
Mm-hmm,
see things. So don't tell me self defense
mm-hmm,
when it's kids that you're targeting. Don't tell me self defense because they don't have weapons. Don't tell me self defense because I
yeah.
saw it with my own eyes and I experienced it myself. So don't tell me self
Yeah.
defense. it's not self-defense.
I mean, and you know what? I had to tell the people the images, and graphic images that she showed were horrific. And these children have been brutalized. Ladies have been brutalized, and children have been used as target practice. And you know what? She's just not. It's not a fabrication.
Oh no.
Sign language. She saw with both of her eyes.
And you say this is available on your channel?
No, you can actually go onto. Well, you can actually go ahead and into SpaceX, and you can see a lot of it. Not
Put the
SpaceX,
link. Can you
yeah,
put the link in the chat
on
room?
X. On X, just search me, and you can. I repost a lot of it from people from Gaza right now. I
Can you put
repost
the
a
link
lot.
in the chat room?
Here, I'll put it right here. Is
And I'm gonna
at
share.
Dalia. Yeah,
Okay.
on X. On X, you have at Dalia Tapia. Okay, and
It's
that's.
just yeah.
Did you?
It tell you something when you
Yes.
show them pictures of the
Yeah.
children being abused and killed in the body bag. Hell, I don't say a grown man don't cry. I almost cried.
Yeah, no, it's horrific. And when I was there, as I said, in the checkpoints, they literally can do anything to anybody in the checkpoints, and no questions asked.
Man,
Literally,
that sounds familiar.
yeah, no questions asked. And the people, like, like I said, when I turned around and started telling that soldier all these things, the Palestinian people looked at me like, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen to this woman?"
You're gonna get us
And
killed.
yeah, that's what they probably what they thought is like she's gonna get us in trouble, and that's why the bus driver was like, come on, lady," and I was just like, first of all, like I had no idea, like I was clueless of what really was going on, and then as I said, as my experience there, kind of like. I got a little, I got a bigger picture, and like I said, I won't forget. Oh, another thing that happened with my when I posted it on Facebook, it got deleted, and
I'm
some of
wondering if this is gonna get, but I gave so many disclaimers. It shouldn't be.
Mhm. So, but yes, thank you for letting me share all this information. I hope people. No, am I racist? No,
No,
I
no,
actually,
no.
I,
You
I
saw
actually
the
want people
child.
to understand I am a human who cares for children, and no matter if they were white children, if they were African children, if they were whatever color they are, or with
Yeah.
it's like we all need to stand up and protect kids, and that's my main motivation in my life for continuing to travel and to be a better person and to leave a better world for the next generations.
Yeah.
I know I'm not eternal, but I hope to leave something better.
Will you come? Will you come back to the Underground Railroad podcast?
Sure. Thank you. Yes, of course. Anytime, and I have tons of stories from all over the world. So just tell me where, and, I'll be happy to share with you.
Yeah, you know something I'm learning about. You have to network with other people to disseminate information, and you can't be jealous, envious, or hateful because you know what? All the blessings are not for you. And you have to understand it, but I think you have to be mature to understand it. So what? You got 100,000 followers, and he got 200 or 50,000 followers. You know what? I got what Allah wants me to have. God wants me to have. Yah wants me to have, and that's sufficient. But you have to be comfortable within your own self. So, and I would love for you to grace us with your presence because you know what? It's been impactful. I'm making up a word, impactful. I don't think it's a such word. It's been a hell of an impact sharing the story because you know what, traumatizing the pictures that you showed, and I encourage you to go to her website. I'm going to ask you again before we close out.
Yes.
And then we're going to get Johnny's information to his podcast. Can you please give out the pertinent information one more time? I would appreciate it, and share this on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever. Whether it's going to be in cyberspace forever.
Yeah,
The
I don't.
Mossad, CIA might try to get rid of it, but somebody take somebody. but
Yes.
give out the pertinent information. I really would appreciate it. And thank you for gracing the Underground Railroad
Thank
podcast.
you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Latina
Latina
Spirit.
Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Latina Spirit. And I'm actually on X is Dalia Tapia, Latina. And also you can find me in on Facebook as the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then on YouTube, I'm gonna start uploading my show since it's pretty much in Can TV. I believe it's going to be the same channels as 19 as before. Just the times I don't have set times.
Mm-hmm.
And then feel free to reach out to me. I am
No,
more than
no,
happy.
forget your book now. You got a book to
Oh,
sell.
yes.
Come on now.
Yes. Well, it's a children's book, and it deals with racism based on the color of our skin, because that's actually what I experienced as a child too, by my own grandmother. My own grandmother was brought up right here in the south of the U.S., and so she
Mm-hmm.
was a very racist lady,
Mm-hmm.
and even
Yeah.
amongst us, like she differentiated like the
Mm-hmm.
lighter kid versus the brownish little kids, and so that's actually based on my personal experience, and it's a children's book.
The
It's
name of
called
the book is, and they can go to Amazon or eBay, or where do they go to get the
yeah,
book?
Amazon. It's in Amazon. Buscando a Leti, in search of Leti.
I want everybody to buy milk. Everybody, you know what? Let's put it at the top of the selling
Yeah,
list. Okay?
it's
Have a selling million.
Buscando a
But
Leti. I'll put it right here. In
okay,
search of
but you
Leti.
know what? Because the thing is, the more books that you buy from her, it helps to build her platform, and her platform is already great, but it helps to make it greater.
Thank
So
you.
buy her book. And Johnny, do you have any finishing comments and tell us with your podcast? See, I'm always sharing, but go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh
Go ahead,
yeah,
Johnny.
yeah. I mean, that's all the comments I have. You can uh, you can watch or listen to me at for all other comments at the Joyful Sound Truth and Conversation. I'm on every major podcasting platform: iHeart, Audible, Apple, etc. And I'm on YouTube. So yeah, look me up. Got a lot of information, spiritual
Yeah,
information. Those who are wondering. So yeah, I definitely recommend you listen in.
okay. I got to put in my cheap plug for my show now. I will be doing myself a dishonor.
Okay. All right, brothers. I'm gonna
Okay.
have to go because I have to take care of something. But
Okay.
thank you for having me on the show. Okay.
I'm gonna give you assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank
you. Okay.
you.
Okay.
All right.
You're welcome,
Bye bye.
sister.
Take
All
care.
right.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
meeting you. Era un placer
Likewise.
para conocerte.
Gracias. Igualmente.
Yeah. So
De nada.
you know what, me and Johnny, if it's God's will, we will be back on at 6:30. This is a Sunday, the February the 4th. We will be on
The
back on the, I better say
third, fourth,
Central
is it the
Time.
fourth? Yeah, fourth.
Central
Yeah,
Time.
yeah, yeah.
The
Yes.
Central Time, because we're in the United States in Chicago, and we will do a recap of the news. And I'm going to be doing more podcasts like this, because you know what, I like asking questions, and hey man, she was a gracious guest, and she gave information. And you know what, we need to talk to people, because everybody has a story. Doesn't mean that everybody wants to tell a story, but I'm gonna have a very
Mm-hmm.
inquisitive mind, like my co-host over here. I like to ask questions, because I don't know everything. And the world does not revolve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that again. The world does not revolve around me. It does not. It does not. So, brother, you got anything else to say? And I'm gonna sign on off. And you got something else to say, please?
Hey, I just want to say I appreciate the show. I've learned a lot. It
Mm-hmm.
was a definite, unique perspective. I think a very necessary perspective to hear as African Americans to really understand and appreciate where we've been and where we are.
Yeah, yeah. So you know what? So assalamu alaikum. to everybody. And share this. If you don't like it, fine. Give me constructive criticism, because we need constructive criticism to grow. Not always a pat on the back that's going to help you. It helps me to grow as a content producer by getting constructive criticism. And I don't, I can take it. You know what? Because I'm not, none of these shows I do is perfect. I know there's only one thing that's perfect. And I'm a point. I know it ain't me. So give me the constructive criticism, and you help me to grow. And watch the Underground Railroad television show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30. And at the bottom, press the like if you hated it. Give me a comment, but share this broadcast. Thank you, Johnny, and I appreciate it, my brother. 6 o'clock, if it's Allah, if it's God, Allah's will. Because like I say, who knows? I might not make it upstairs. So that's okay. As long as I'm trying to make it upstairs and it's in my mind, I'm going to make my prayers. It's all good. All this is temporary.
Upstairs? Where the stairs at? I don't see no stairs.
But all this is, I'm saying is, all this is temporary.
Yes, sir.
If we said something that somebody benefited from and it helped somebody, even if it's one person that listens to the show, thank you. Thank you. Because whoever was allotted to look at the show, it was by the permission of God. So, all right, my brother. I'm going to sign.
All right, yeah.
Quit running my mouth. Assalamu alaikum.